Nobody expected this sentence to come out on live television. Not on ESPN, not from Kendrick Perkins. He looked straight into the camera and said without hesitating, "Shador Sanders is the most powerful black man in America since Barack Obama. Not the best quarterback, not the most talented rookie, powerful." And for a split second, it felt like the entire sports world froze. People didn't even know how to react. Some laughed it off, some got angry immediately. Others just stared at their phones trying to figure out how a fifth-round pick, a guy barely supposed to see the field, was suddenly being spoken about in the same breath as presidents and cultural icons. That's when the real question hit. How does someone with that draft position even enter a conversation like that? And more importantly, why did it feel like Perkins meant every word? Because once he started explaining himself, things got uncomfortable fast. Perkins wasn't talking about arm strength or footwork. He wasn't breaking down film. He wasn't hyping a stat line. He was talking about influence, about reach, about something the league doesn't like to measure because it can't control it. And he pointed to one moment that, according to him, changed everything. Not Shador's first official start. Not a press conference. Not a viral quote. It was the Raiders game before that. The moment Shador Sanders stepped onto that field, something strange happened. Something that almost never happens in today's NFL. Social media went quiet. No fighting, no culture wars, no timelines on fire. Just people watching football together. Go back and look. X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all the same energy. Positive, supportive, unified. That kind of alignment doesn't happen by accident. Perkins said it felt eerie. Fans weren't arguing politics. They weren't tearing each other down. They weren't trying to prove a point. They were just locked in, watching this kid play football. And that's when he realized this story wasn't about football anymore. Perkins talked about messages he was seeing from fans of all backgrounds saying the same thing. Their grandparents were watching football again. 70-year-olds who hadn't cared about the NFL in years were suddenly tuning in just to see Shador play. Think about that for a second. In a league struggling to keep younger viewers engaged, a rookie quarterback was bringing back people who had already checked out. Name another player doing that right now. You can't. And that's where this story shifts. Because Shador Sanders isn't supposed to matter like this. Fifth-round picks are supposed to stay quiet, be grateful, sit down, learn, wait their turn. They're not supposed to move the needle. They're not supposed to bend conversations. They're definitely not supposed to make the league feel uneasy. But Shador didn't get that memo. Look at the numbers, not stats, impact. On a struggling Browns team, Shador is one of the only players cracking top jersey sales. Stadiums feel different when he plays. Ratings jump. Games nobody circled on the calendar suddenly become must-watch TV. Matchups that should have been background noise are suddenly front and center. That doesn't happen because of hype alone. That happens when people feel something. And that's what makes this uncomfortable for the league. Because the NFL loves structure, it loves hierarchy, it loves control. Draft order matters, status matters, legacy matters. And Shador is disrupting all of it without asking permission. No big speeches, no demands, no rebellion, just showing up and pulling attention toward him naturally. That kind of power can't be coached, marketed, or regulated. Then came the Buffalo game. Cleveland loses a tight one, 23-20, a game that easily could have gone the other way. And normally, that's where the quarterback gets cooked. The blame starts flying. Questions about leadership, about toughness, about whether he's the guy. But something strange happened again. None of that stuck. Fans weren't blaming Shador. They weren't questioning his heart. They weren't calling for a benching. Instead, the conversation shifted upward. Coaching decisions, play calling, lack of support, execution around him. When fans protect the quarterback more than the franchise does, that tells you everything you need to know. That kind of loyalty isn't given, it's earned, and everyone watching could feel it. What really separates Shador, though, is how he handles the spotlight. Because make no mistake, the spotlight is massive. He's confident, flashy, comfortable being seen, comfortable being talked about. And that usually ends badly for young quarterbacks. They crash out. They say the wrong thing. They take the bait. They give critics exactly what they're waiting for. Shador never does. He'll talk his talk, then give credit to God in the same breath. He'll celebrate, then deflect praise to his teammates. He never throws anyone under the bus, never creates drama. Shador Sanders is the most powerful black man in America since Barack Obama. Not the best quarterback, not the most talented rookie. Powerful. And the second those words hit the air, the internet locked up. People laughed, people got angry. Others started pulling up draft boards and box scores, trying to make sense of how a fifth-round pick could even be mentioned in the same breath as a former president.